Hello and welcome back to Outlander INSIDER, where today we are talking all things Season 7, Episode 2. The mystery surrounding Malva's murder is finally solved with shocking repercussions. Bree and Roger receive devastating news about their newborn baby, and a much-loved familiar face comes to town with Jamie's son in tow. I don't know about you, but I absolutely loved this episode. We finally got answers about who murdered Malva. We knew it wasn't Tom Christie. However, Mark Lewis-Jones, who plays Tom, joined my colleague to talk all about the episode. Enjoy!
In episode 2, obviously we don't see you. We know you've confessed to the murder. You're in prison somewhere, but we finally get the answer to this murder mystery, right? There was an incestuous, abusive relationship. So that's a very shocking, almost Game of Thrones kind of twist. Did you know about the twist? What was your reaction to the twist?
Did know that what was going on between Alan and Malva. And I think, in terms of the story, I don't think that Tom truly believed that it was Claire, I think he was always suspicious of something else, but couldn't quite put his finger on it. The reveal is the next episode, and it's revealed in a way what Tom's been trying to hide. There's lots of skeletons in their cupboard, and it's been trying to present this religious, pious family with all this awful backstory. Not been an easy task. And I think I always felt, in a way, the journey we went on at the end of 6, where he decides that he can be Claire's protector. In a way, I think he's quite glad to leave them behind. I think it's quite a nice feeling for Tom to not have to deal with all that, because his children represent so much pain to him and bring back so many awful memories. And, he's tried his best as a dad. He's tried to be the best father he can and tried to start a new life with them. But all their histories come back to haunt them.
You sort of answered this, but do you think this sacrifice for Claire is going to stick? Do you think that's going to have any kind of effect?
It certainly releases Claire. That's for sure. What Tom's destiny is at that point, where what we know so far, in that moment when he does sacrifice himself for Claire, I do think he thinks he's going to be charged with it and found guilty for it, because if he confesses to it, why wouldn't he, So I think I don't think he has kind of a super plan,
right?
Kind of emotive, I'll confess to it, but yes, I won't be found guilty. I don't think he thinks that. I think he genuinely is sacrificing himself. Also, so that Claire can be with Jamie, which is even more extraordinary. That he has this unconditional love that he's, in a way, it's the purest love he's ever felt.
Right.
He is sacrificing himself so that Claire can be with Jamie. The worst thing imaginable is willing for her.
It was really touching to see Tom fall for Claire so hard. He's such a tough guy. He's pretty cantankerous. Were you surprised when that development happened for this character, that he would soften and fall for Claire?
Yeah, I guess it is surprising. All the clues are there, the elements are there throughout 6. He's from the off. He's intrigued and fascinated by this woman who, in a way, represents everything he doesn't like about women. And yet, she doesn't tick a single box for him. And yet, there's this, he's drawn to her like a moth to a flame, can't help himself. And she goes against all of his beliefs and questions things within him. We have to kind of try and put ourselves in 18th century. And, hell is a real place, heaven is a real place, God is a real entity, the devil's a real entity, witches are real. It's not the world we live in now, but for Tom, all those things are tangible and real. And she churns all of that up within him. And he finds himself, and I think, if we look back to those scenes in the surgery with the hand, and when she touches him and she leans over him, there's something happens within Tom that I guess he's never really felt before, and it's that real, the beginning of love, but also the kind of, the carnal pleasures are all churned up, and all of it is going against his belief in God, what he believes God to be, and his piety and his, as you say, his his pious shell.
Yeah.
The thing built around himself to protect himself from things like this.
Yeah.
And it's been taken away.
Right. How do you lock into a character like this? I mean, I guess you could ask any star of this show or any show that's a period piece, but like you said, you have to inhabit a world in which all these things are real. Like the devil is real, hell is real. Like, do you have sort of a secret trick for that other than just being like a wonderfully talented trained actor? But the historical aspect is quite interesting to think about.
It is, isn't it? Because it's difficult for us to tap into that. When we watch things like The Crucible, we always have to remember, that these things are real. The witches are real. They're a real thing, and they're to be feared, and they're to be punished, because they go against God. And I think it's always with something like this, and the way that Tom's story is written throughout series 6 and 7. It's bit by bit, you just kind of tap into each scene and, kind of have, in a way, try to embody that belief. Because he does believe, but his God, the God that Tom believes in utterly, is a fearful God, it's a God to be feared. And so, there's no softness, there's no vulnerability within it. As you say, he's hard. He's hard with his kids. He's even harder with himself. He's hard with Claire. Hard with all the kind of people around him and his environment and community and people in church.
Right.
And yet, slowly but surely, this heart of stone is being softened.
Yeah, right. Which is a beautiful thing to see. So the entire Christie family, very tragic end for all of them, right? They all leave this mortal coil one way or the other. Did all of you and the fellow family members of this nuclear family, did you read ahead to find out your fates? And what is the rule with that? If you're an actor, do you try and find out before you shoot how far along would you read to find out what happens?
I think a lot of actors are different about it. I don't really need to see what the end goal is yet. I can kind of play a scene. Tom Christie doesn't know what's going to happen to him when he's having his operation in Claire's surgery, or when he's building the church and putting a bell in the tower. He doesn't know what's happening. He doesn't know he's going to end up on a ship confessing love to Claire. So
Right.
why do I know? I can just play each episode and each scene at a time, and sometimes we'll get, you'll get the arc of the story, and you certainly get backstory. But sometimes when you're shooting episodes 1 and 2, you have no idea really what's going to happen. And as this actor doesn't need to know.
Do you have any hints about what we can expect for the rest of the season, or are you going to be watching with, like the rest of us, clueless fans?
I think I'll be watching like clueless fans. I know what happens. I know what happens to Tom.
Do you want to give a hint?
We see him again.
Okay, we assume that's definitely good news.
Thank you so much for joining us for this week's Outlander Insider. Please leave your comments about what you thought about the episode. We love hearing from them. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and head over to hellomagazine.com for more Outlander news. And we will see you next week. Bye!